My husband's deepest secret revealed at our family gathering. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when we gathered at my in-laws' house for our annual family gathering. The air was filled with the scent of pumpkin spice and cinnamon, and laughter echoed through the cozy living room. My husband, Daniel, had been looking forward to this day for weeks. He loved his family, and these gatherings were always a time of joy and connection. Little did I know that this particular gathering would change everything. As the afternoon progressed, we shared stories, played games, and indulged in a feast that would make anyone's mouth water. The table was laden with turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and an array of desserts that would tempt even the most disciplined eater. I watched Daniel as he mingled with his siblings, his laughter infectious and his smile bright. But there was an underlying tension in his demeanor that I couldn't quite place. After dinner, we gathered around the fireplace, the warm glow casting flickering shadows on the walls. It was tradition for each family member to share something about themselves and accomplishment, a funny story, or a lesson learned. As the evening wore on, I felt a growing sense of unease. I could sense that Daniel was holding back, his usual openness replaced with a guardedness that I found troubling. When it was finally Daniel's turn to speak, he stood up, took a deep breath, and looked around at his family. "I have something important to share," he began, his voice steady but laced with an emotion I couldn't quite identify. The room fell silent, all eyes on him. "I know this may come as a surprise to some of you, and I hope you can understand," he continued, his gaze drifting to me for a brief moment before returning to the group. "I've been keeping a secret for a long time, and I think it's time I finally share it with all of you." My heart raced as I watched him. What could he possibly be about to say? I felt a knot form in my stomach, a mix of anticipation and dread. Daniel cleared his throat, and I could see the tension in his shoulders as he prepared to reveal his truth. "I've been struggling with something for years," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "I've been diagnosed with a rare condition called prosopagnosia face blindness. It means that I have difficulty recognizing faces, even those of people I know well. I've learned to cope with it, but it's been a challenge, especially during family gatherings like this." A heavy silence enveloped the room. I could see the shock on his family's faces, their expressions a mix of confusion and concern. I felt a wave of empathy wash over me, realizing the burden he had carried alone for so long. His sister, Emily, was the first to break the silence. "Daniel, why didn't you tell us?" she asked, her voice softening. "We could have helped you." "I didn't want to burden anyone," he replied, his eyes glistening with tears. "I thought I could manage it on my own, but it's been harder than I anticipated. I didn't want anyone to see me differently." His mother reached out, placing a comforting hand on his arm. "Oh, sweetheart, we love you no matter what. You should have felt you could share this with us." As the conversation continued, Daniel opened up about his experiences, how he often felt lost in social situations, how he relied on cues like clothing and voice to recognize people, and the anxiety that came with the fear of not being able to identify loved ones. The family listened intently, their initial shock giving way to understanding and compassion. I watched as Daniel spoke, feeling a mixture of pride and heartbreak. I had known he struggled with social situations, but I had no idea the extent of his condition. I admired his bravery in sharing such a personal secret with his family, and I wished I could have been more supportive in the past. As the evening wore on, the mood shifted from one of shock to one of solidarity. Family members began to share their own vulnerabilities, creating an atmosphere of openness and acceptance. I could see the relief on Daniel's face as he realized that he was not alone in his struggles. Later, as we sat together on the couch, I took his hand in mine. "I'm so proud of you for sharing that," I said softly. "You're incredibly brave." He smiled, but I could see the weight of his secret still lingered in his eyes. "Thank you for being here for me. I just hope they can understand." "They will," I reassured him. "You're not defined by your condition. You're still the same amazing person I fell in love with." As the night drew to a close, I felt a renewed sense of connection with Daniel and his family. The gathering had transformed from a simple family reunion into a powerful moment of vulnerability and support. We had all learned something that day about love, acceptance, and the importance of being open with one another. In the weeks that followed, Daniel continued to navigate his condition with the support of his family and me. He began to share more about his experiences, and I made a conscious effort to be more understanding and patient. We attended therapy sessions together, where we learned coping strategies and communication techniques that would help him manage his prosopagnosia in social situations. One day, while we were out shopping, Daniel spotted a group of friends from college. I watched as he hesitated, a flicker of anxiety crossing his face. I squeezed his hand, offering silent encouragement. "You got this," I whispered. As we approached the group, he greeted them with a smile. "Hey, guys, it's great to see you." He focused on their voices and body language, engaging in conversation as best as he could. I could see the relief wash over him as they embraced him warmly. Unaware of the internal struggle he faced, over time, Daniel became more comfortable with his condition, learning to communicate his needs to those around him. He developed strategies to help him recognize people, such as remembering their favorite colors or styles of clothing. His family continued to be supportive, often reminding him that they were there for him no matter what. One evening, as we sat on the couch watching a movie, Daniel turned to me, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You know, sharing my secret was one of the hardest things I've ever done," he said. "But it also lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. I feel like I can finally be myself without hiding." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "I'm so glad you feel that way. You deserve to be free from that burden." As the months passed, our relationship deepened. We learned to communicate more openly, sharing our fears and insecurities without judgment. Daniel became more involved in family gatherings, and I watched as he grew closer to his siblings and parents. They became more aware of his condition and made an effort to include him in conversations, ensuring he felt comfortable and supported. One day, Daniel surprised me with a weekend getaway to a cabin in the woods. As we settled in, he turned to me with a mischievous grin. "I have a surprise for you," he said, pulling out a small box. My heart raced as he handed it to me. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a heart. "It's beautiful," I exclaimed, touched by his thoughtfulness. "I wanted to give you something that represents our journey together," he said, his eyes sparkling. "You've been my rock through all of this, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you." Tears of joy welled in my eyes as I embraced him tightly. "Thank you, Daniel. This means the world to me." As we spent the weekend together, we hiked through the colorful foliage, shared stories by the fire, and enjoyed each other's company. It was a reminder of the strength of our bond and the love that had blossomed between us. In the following months, we faced challenges, of course. There were times when Daniel struggled to recognize friends or family members, leading to awkward moments and misunderstandings. But we learned to approach these situations with humor and grace. I would often tease him, saying, "Don't worry, I'll always be your personal face recognition app." Daniel would laugh, his eyes sparkling with affection. "I'm so lucky to have you by my side." As the seasons changed, so did our lives. Daniel's condition became just one part of who he was, a part that he embraced with courage and resilience. He became an advocate for awareness about prosopagnosia, sharing his story at local support groups and helping others understand the condition. One evening, we attended a seminar where Daniel spoke about his journey. As he stood in front of the audience, I watched with pride as he confidently shared his experiences. He spoke about the importance of understanding and compassion, and the room was filled with nods of agreement and appreciation. Afterward, people approached him, sharing their own stories and thanking him for his bravery. I could see the impact he was having, and it filled my heart with joy. As we walked home that night, Daniel took my hand, a content smile on his face. "I never thought I could turn my struggle into something positive," he said. "But sharing my story has made me feel empowered." "You're making a difference," I replied, my voice filled with admiration. "You're inspiring so many people." Over time, our relationship continued to flourish. We learned to navigate life's challenges together, always supporting one another through thick and thin. Daniel's secret, once a source of fear and anxiety, had transformed into a testament to his strength and resilience. As we approached our anniversary, I found myself reflecting on how far we had come. I realized that our love had deepened in ways I had never imagined. We had faced adversity together, and it had only made us stronger. On the day of our anniversary, Daniel surprised me with a romantic dinner at our favorite restaurant. As we toasted to another year together, I felt a surge of gratitude for the journey we had shared. "To us," he said, his eyes shining with love, "and to the adventures that lie ahead." I raised my glass, feeling a sense of hope and excitement for the future. "To us," I echoed, knowing that whatever challenges we faced, we would face them together. In the end, Daniel's deepest secret had brought us closer than ever. It had taught us the importance of vulnerability, communication, and love. And as we continued our journey together, I knew that our bond would only grow stronger with each passing day.